Tipp today in association with Slattery's of Pecan, your main Peugeot dealer for over 50 years in the Premier County. Slattery'sGarage.ie.
Good morning, welcome along to Tipp today. 1800 938 007. A free phone number, won't cost you if you'd like to make a call to the programme. Leanne is producing today. Coming up on the show, we'll be speaking to Ireland editor with the Irish Indo, Fionnan Sheahan, about Paschal Donohoe stepping down in just a few moments' time. Cllr John O'Heney says he's disappointed at the allocation of new Gardai in Tipperary. What about drug abuse in the communities? Well, that conversation continues on. Deputy Mattie McGrath will be with us just after 11. And what is Udder Mint and what does it do? We'll find out all about that. So all of that and more on the way. You can text and WhatsApp 083 311 3311. You can email Tipp today at tippfm.com and look at the front pages. It being Wednesday, the local papers are on your shelves. The Nina Guardian, their lead story, the heavy rainfall of the last week brought flooding to many parts of the county and prompted renewed demand for a flood relief scheme in Nina. And also on the front of the Guardian, coverage of that awful fire in Moneygall, and the community in Moneygall shocked, indeed and saddened to learn about the death of a local woman in a house fire last Friday. The Nationalist is dominated by a picture from that video we've been speaking about over the last few days, that video circulating online of people shooting up on the streets of Clonmel, and the headline there is shameful incident at the main guard, prompting calls for community and Gardai to wake up to the scourge of drug use in the town. To the national papers then, the Irish Indo, the main story on the Indo today, they're telling us that the Taoiseach Simon Harris has moved to consolidate his power in the government as the next finance minister and stave off any future leadership threat. Now, Mr. Harris was told of Paschal Donohoe's plan to resign early last week, and his move into finance solidifies his position at the top of government and probably stems any threat to his leadership as well. The Irish Examiner, and the lead story on the Examiner today, husband and wife fled home in attempt to escape a knife attack, and also coverage of Paschal Donohoe on the front of the Examiner today as well. The Irish Times, dominated by a picture of a rather happy-looking Paschal Donohoe, and sure, why wouldn't he, I suppose, and Pat Leahy in the Times telling us that the government has suffered a major blow with the departure of Paschal Donohoe, who resigned from the Cabinet, as you know, yesterday to take up that post with the World Bank. He will also resign as TD this week. Also on the Times today, we're reading that it took Tusla more than 6 months to take any action in response to safeguarding risks identified for some children in North Inner City Dublin, a review by the state's health watchdog has found. And also coverage across the papers about what's happening stateside. The US Senate yesterday gave swift approval to legislation that will force the release of investigative files related to the late paedophile Jeffrey Epstein after a near unanimous vote, indeed, in the US House of Representatives. And finally, the Irish Daily Mail. And the lead story on the Mail today, speculation, of course, about the by-election that will be the result of Paschal Donohoe stepping down. But they're telling us that gangland criminal Jared the Monk Hutch is seeking to replace Paschal Donohoe in a double central by-election, according to the Irish Daily Mail today. So that's a look at what's making headlines in some of your newspapers. Do you want to make comment on any of that? And if you do, text WhatsApp once again is 083 311 3311. Now, as you've gathered, the Minister for Finance, Paschal Donohoe, is set to stand down from his role in government this week. He will take up the second most senior position in the World Bank as Managing Director and Chief Knowledge Officer. Fionnan Sheahan, Ireland editor with the Irish Independent, joins me now. Fionnan, good morning to you.
Good morning.
And we always appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on with us. A minister that has delivered 10 budgets, almost a decade as either Minister for Finance or Minister for Public Expenditure or both. The legacy, Fionnan, how will he be remembered, do you think?
Yeah, I think if you can point to one incident that kind of sums up Paschal Donohoe's views and his time in office, it is that scary first weekend of COVID-19, where over the course of a weekend in his office, sitting on the couch with the head of the Revenue Commissioners and the Secretary General of his department, they effectively designed all of the financial supports that would be put in place over the following 2.5 years for people affected by COVID-19, including the pandemic unemployment payment and other business supports that were put in place because they've suddenly realised people are going to go from normal life to having no income whatsoever, no business activity. And the rationale behind that was that Paschal Donohoe had always argued that you can't overspend just because you have the money. You don't spend it. You should put money away for a rainy day. And that was the rainy day. So if you recall in the 2020 general election, he was widely criticised within Fine Gael for not opening the purse strings that bit more ahead of that election. But here he was 6 months later, basically turned around and saying, look, this is why we did that, so that we do have money like that available. I mean, in effect, he spent 20 billion that weekend in one go because the economy and society needed to be backed up with the finance. So I think that his philosophy is kind of encapsulated in a moment like that. He was of the view that you needed to be a wee bit prudent with your public finances. Now, you will say his final budget was 8.5 billion worth of extra spending, so there's not exactly a whole lot of prudence there. But yeah, I think he brought credibility to the role of Minister of Finance and Minister for Public Expenditure, that whether people agreed or disagreed with him, they respected him, and they were of the view that his viewpoints were considered, were well thought out, were intelligent. He read vociferously. You would see him speaking at conferences where people would put what you reckoned were pretty obscure points to him, but actually he would refer back to him and say, well, actually what, such and such a research paper was only out in recent weeks, or such an economist did a book last year that says the opposite. So he was up on top of his topic, and he also didn't engage in populism. He wasn't somebody who came along and had a soundbite for every occasion. So if anything, I mean, it is quite a strange situation yesterday where you have a minister leaving the cabinet, departing from our shores to a job on an international scale, and yet pretty much across the Dáil you had people wishing him well. There was no kind of resentment or anybody suggesting that he's not qualified or shouldn't be going for this role.
Yeah, and speaking of the role, the position of the Managing Director and Chief Knowledge Officer, in fact, I had to look that up, and what that entailed. And it's sort of looking after intellectual capital, I believe, and that kind of thing. But the role itself and the importance of that role.
Of the new role?
Yeah.
Yeah, with the World Bank, I mean, big institution based over in Washington, highly influential, particularly in terms of providing finance in the developing world. That's obviously an interest of his. So he had been associated with a number of global financial institutions, our old friends or adversaries, whichever way you want to look at it, in the IMF.
Yeah.
International Monetary Fund. He was associated with that job around about 18 months ago, but the incumbent there decided to go for another term, and there was a fair bank of support behind him. Influential countries wanted a change, but that didn't come off. He was then being linked with a number of roles in Europe, but ultimately, Fine Gael didn't have the call on the European commissionerships that was going to Fianna Fáil. It was hard to see then what other roles he could take up there. He was linked then last year as well with the role of the World Economic Forum, which is a big think tank. It meets in Davos every year. All the global leaders attend it. There was a vacancy coming up there at some point in around about the next 18 months, and there was talk of would he go there. So it's not really a shock that he has gone to such a big international institution and taken up such a senior role. He was pretty highly regarded, not just as Irish finance minister, but because he was head for the last 7 years of the group of European finance ministers from countries that use the euro, known as the Euro Group. So he chaired those meetings for the past 7 years. He briefed other EU leaders. He represented the euro, in effect, abroad. He went and had meetings on Capitol Hill. He attended EU summits, updating leaders there. So he was kind of the ambassador for the euro, and it was through that role and the fact that he was reappointed to it twice by his peers, kind of showed the esteem with which he's held.
Simon Harris then decided to take on the role of finance minister. I'm trying my best not to be unkind here, but is he intellectually up to the role? I mean, how deep is his understanding of economic affairs?
Yeah. I mean, we've kind of gone from Paschal Donohoe, who would be regarded as somebody of great depth, a lot of understanding of the role, and was highly respected. So kind of gone to Simon Harris, who's economic thinking we don't really know a whole lot about, apart from he'll talk about being centrist, and he'll talk about probably an economic growth model that brings in the revenue that you can then use to fund public services. That's grand, but there's not a whole lot beyond that. I mean, you were watching Paschal Donohoe over recent years engage in very detailed conversations with financiers, economists, and academics alike, and more than holding his own. You just don't envisage Simon Harris in that space. I don't think it's a case that you can just turn around and go, sure, the economy runs itself. It is actually an exceptionally important role that Simon Harris has gone into. I suppose there was a bit of surprise yesterday that with Paschal Donohoe departing, and they would have had to have a contingency plan here in the event of Paschal Donohoe departing, that Simon Harris decided that he himself was the one who would take up this role rather than Peter Burke, the Minister for Enterprise and Accountant, Jennifer Carroll McNeil, the Minister for Health, public policy expert. So, yeah, I suppose that he has a lot to prove here yet again. And also we're looking at a situation where he's now leader of a party that is telling us that they are renewing. He is already the deputy leader of the government. You'd think he had a lot on his plate, and now he's got the economy as well. Also a very different style. Paschal Donohoe didn't tend to be out on a daily basis looking for publicity or looking to be setting the agenda. He stuck in recent years anyway to just commenting on fiscal and economic matters. He wasn't not a soundbite merchant, and he also was aware that anything that the Minister of Finance says has got more wide-ranging consequences than just what's happening on the news agenda that particular day. A loose phrase can cause you a country financial trouble. So, let's see how Simon Harris deals with that one.
It'll be interesting. But I mean, could it be seen as just cynically solidifying his leadership at a time when there's question marks over it?
Yeah, I think it's quite clear that had he promoted somebody else to this role, then perhaps you would be looking at them going, oh well, they've served as Minister for Finance now. That makes them amply qualified to become Taoiseach in 2 years' time. We've had a bit of a brain drain from Fine Gael, to say the least, over the last 18 months with the vast exodus out the door at the general election. And Paschal Donohoe was, they were very fortunate to keep him for an extra 12 months, but he was, very much associated with that ancien regime of the people who served under in the Kenny cabinets and then under Leo Varadkar. So, yeah, it's a difficult one, and you're looking at Simon Harris now going, why didn't you appoint somebody else? Did you not think they were capable, or was it that you thought that they were going to undermine you? I mean, we don't know. I mean, he's basically saying, well, he's the most experienced one. He's the one that served the longest in the cabinet. He's held more portfolios than anybody else. He's the last minister now to have served under Enda Kenny, in the current crop, in the current manifestation. So therefore, he'll argue that he was the man for the job. But yeah, it was certainly a curious decision.
Could I finally ask you about the choice of Helen McEntee and then moving to the Department of Foreign Affairs? I mean, I wonder about that choice. I mean, she hardly shone injustice. She certainly didn't make much of a mark on education. Now, you might argue that she hasn't had time to do so, but that choice, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, too early to judge upon the first 12 months. She was undertaking some initiatives around curriculum reform, looking again at the issue of patronage and who runs schools. So after only 10 months in the job, you can't really say good, bad, or indifferent in terms of Minister for Education. Yeah, certainly in justice doesn't really come out of that with an enhanced CV. In terms of foreign affairs, I mean, she was the Minister for European Affairs under Leo Varadkar, so she is familiar with the territory. She has, in effect, that job serves across the Taoiseach's Department and Foreign Affairs. Justice would have a lot of crossover as well with Foreign Affairs, so she's certainly familiar with the territory there, having worked on issues like Brexit in the past. What's coming at her there won't be a surprise.
And just finally, I mean, not only a loss, I guess, for Fine Gael, but a loss for the government, because it appears to me that Paschal Donohoe, he was a kind of a glue between the parties, was he? He appeared to get on extremely well with Fianna Fáil.
Yeah, he was held in very high regard by people in Fianna Fáil. He got on with them, obviously. He's kind of liked across the board in politics. There was, parties on the left had a lot of nice things to say about him yesterday as well. So yeah, he did. He got on with whoever was there. Now, he had his rows. Definitely, there were disputes over the years about budgets. There was definitely a big dispute 3 years ago when he was basically trying to stay on as Minister of Finance at the time rather than dropping public expenditure because he wanted to stay in that EU role as well. There was a kind of a standoff with Michael McGrath with Fianna Fáil, and Fianna Fáil said, no, the Finance Ministry is coming to us. But I think he was capable of letting bygones be bygones as well. Those rows didn't affect his overall relationship. So, yeah, certainly in terms of his maturity, his experience, the relationships that he has with people. He's lost the government. He's lost the government at an EU level as well, in that every EU finance minister and probably every leader knew him on first name terms, and he had relationships there. So across the board, the government is not stronger today than it was yesterday. If anything, it's considerably weakened on several fronts as a result of his departure.
Fionnan, a pleasure as always. Thank you for your time this morning. Thank you. Good morning to you. That's Fionnan Sheahan there, Ireland editor of the Irish Independent, and more importantly, of course, Tipperary man as well. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about Paschal Donohoe stepping down? We'd love to hear your views on that. 083 311 3311. I know I spoke to him several times on the programme over the years. There was never a question of being able to have a getcha moment with Paschal Donohoe. I mean, you always had to have your research done whenever you had a conversation with him, that's for sure. And anyway, we wish him well. All right, we'll take a break. Back with more in just a moment.
Tipp FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, Puck On. Main Peugeot dealers in the Premier County. And now stocking the full range of the luxury French car brand DS Automobiles. Book your test drive today with Slattery's Garage, Puck On. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Tipp FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, Puck On. It's time to change. Test drive the award-winning range of Peugeot hybrids and fully electric vehicles at Slattery's Garage today. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Yeah, quite a number of people on who are not impressed with the notion of Simon Harris taking over the finance portfolio. That's a very nice way of putting what's coming into us today on that. Okay, lots more in there as well, and I'll have a route through it and bring it to you later. Last Friday, 194 Gardai, 17 Garda reserves were attested as sworn members of An Garda Síochána during a ceremony at the Garda Training College in Templemore. Cllr John O'Heney says there was no new Gardaí for West Tipperary, and he's disappointed. He joins me now. Good morning to you, John.
Good morning, Fran, and good morning to all your listeners.
That is fair to say, isn't it? You're very disappointed at the allocation or lack of allocation of Gardai to Tipperary.
Yes, Fran, I am. It's very concerning to see this. There has only been one guard allocated to the entire county of Tipperary, and that was in Clonmel. And the overall Garda divisional model which we have here is the Tipperary Cllr district, and there's been only 2 guards allocated to the entire counties of that division, one in Ennis and one at Clonmel. And it's just hugely concerning, and this has been going on for a while, and I do feel this, it highlights a greater issue, Fran. And I personally feel that the Cllr Tipperary divisional model, the operational model, is not working. We're seeing a diminished service, policing service, compared to maybe 10 or 15 years ago. Basic Garda services are now being maintained through overtime. And this is not sustainable, and it's not fair on the members of An Garda Síochána, who are doing their best, in my opinion, under impossible situations and impossible pressures. The structure and model of the Tipperary Cllr division, it's nearly become an unmitigated disaster for the people that it's meant to serve.
And you're making a very interesting point when you say that that idea of the amalgamation of Cllr and Tipp together, that was tried in other places and they failed to deliver, and they changed their minds on it, John.
Yes, we've seen in other areas. So, you're looking at a geographical span here, Fran, from Carrick-on-Shore to the Cliffs of Moher, and it is too large to be effectively managed under one single model. And we saw in places like Laois, Offaly, Kildare, Carlow, that they rode back on similar models after they had failed. But here we are in Tipperary, and we're stuck in a system that doesn't seem to be fit for purpose. And I think, Tipperary, on a national policing level, contributes enormously for our Garda Training College in Templemore. And a lot of the Gardaí in Tipperary are pulled in to resource that centre and to do training and to do extra additional work. And it's gone completely unrecognised in the Garda allocations being given to Tipperary over the last number of probationary releases. And I feel that the county deserves better. And it's putting a huge strain on the Gardaí that are currently on the ground. They're stretched thin. They can't attend community events. Some of them have 40, 50 open cases at any one time, and it's become nearly an impossible workload on them. And, they can't deliver on the level of engagement, I suppose, that you would expect of the Gardaí in rural and urban settings alike. So we do urgently need more Gardaí and more community Gardaí.
And how do you feel about what the Taoiseach, Michael Murphy brought this up in the Dáil, to the Taoiseach, and in his address back to Michael, he said that really it's up to the Commissioner to make the decisions on the allocation of Gardaí, which I found kind of interesting. So is that a case that the Minister and the Department are washing their hands of these decisions?
Well, I'd hope that they wouldn't be, and they would take some accountability for these decisions. It's very easy to pass the buck on to somebody else. And, there needs to be a bit of a collaborative effort here. And I'm aware that the new Garda Commissioner is coming in, Justin Kelly, commencing his job shortly. And I have a letter prepared. And when he does begin his work, he's going to receive a letter from me, a detailed letter explaining why I feel that the model currently in place between the Tipperary Cllr division is not working. And I think, they need to look at maybe at the geographical landscape of this, and visibility needs to be at the heart of policing in this county. It needs to be a perception of safety out there, that the guards are there and that they're ready to respond to any issues. Currently, the Gardaí are nearly the weak link in the emergency services when you compare them to the ambulance service or the fire service, and it's not their fault on the ground here in this county. They've been totally under-resourced and understaffed. And that's why I'm trying to highlight this issue. I'm trying to, to help them as best I can.
It appears that the allocations, first of all, are going to the metropolitan areas like Dublin and Cork, for instance, and that rural Ireland, again, is down the pecking order here.
Absolutely. I'm just looking like the figures are stark. 87 new guards out of the last probationary cohorts there on Friday went to Dublin alone. And Cork took 36 new guards to Anglesey Street Station. That's a massive cohort gone to the two cities, and it's really left the rural counties behind again. And when you look at the geographical landscape, I'm trying to highlight here today that the county of Tipperary and the county of Cllr to only receive two additional Gardai, and that it's only papering over the cracks, friend, because a number of Gardai have retired or left positions in the county, and it hasn't been adequately filled, and we're decreasing in numbers consistently here in Tipperary at all times, and it's putting a major burden on Garda management to try and, get people there on rosters and get people, Gardai need to feel safe too. You can't send a guard out, in a single patrol car on his own or on her own. There needs to be, more resources allocated to them and more Gardai on the ground. And we see, there's only 2 or 3 Gardai in some of the major town stations around the area on duty at any one time. That's not enough, because if they're called out to an emergency, it leaves the station very vulnerable, or if there's a couple of emergencies at the same time, it leaves resources very much stretched.
And I'm sure you're across that video that's circulating online of people shooting up on the streets of Clonmel, for example, just blatantly on the main guard there, where everybody can see what's going on. A lot of other towns would have similar situations to that. Really, everything seems to be disimproving in terms of what's going on out there with antisocial stuff and the like.
Well, yes, I suppose, look, that was a very unfortunate video, and I have seen it and the images there in Clonmel over the last few days, and I suppose it's become, a very visual and, issue. People are now seeing it, on their streets and in their villages and in their towns, and I suppose the drug scourge in the county is probably a hidden pandemic. It's not been talked about enough that there is an awful levels of addiction, particularly among younger people, and I suppose it's up to us and me as a public representative to try and highlight this and to try and advocate for more resources for the Gardai. And if the Garda management are insisting on continuing with the model we have currently in this county, then it has to be properly resourced. Anything else is totally unacceptable. And we're seeing now, later into next year that Ireland will be given the EU presidency. So there'll be a huge amount of Gardai pulled from rural areas up to Dublin when there's major events on of foreign dignitaries and world leaders coming to Ireland because of our EU presidency term. And that's going to leave rural Ireland, particularly Tipperary, hugely understaffed and under-resourced in terms of our Gardai. Look, I am calling, I suppose, this morning on the Garda Commissioner, the new Garda Commissioner, to put a huge review into the divisional model here in Tipperary and the Tipperary-Cllr area. Tipperary does deserve to be properly resourced in terms of policing services.
But that operational model, that doesn't work as far as you're concerned, John.
I don't think so, Fran, and I've done a lot of research on this, and I've spoken to a lot of the guards that are currently on the ground in the area. This is where this is coming from. I didn't just decide to highlight this
right.
week.
And are the Gardai themselves telling you that this doesn't work?
Yes, they are. They're telling me in their own words that this model it's unsustainable currently, the way that it's currently set up, and it's leading to hugely increased workloads, and there's a lot of Gardai out there, at risk of burnout. And to become a guard, I suppose it's a calling. It's an act of public service, and the way it's currently set up, it's not becoming an attractive career anymore compared to what it used to be years ago. And you have to, we need our best and brightest and people that are willing to serve on Garda Síochána, and at the minute it's become a very difficult career for the people involved in it.
Well, that's for sure. Just before I let you go, some good news, which is the investment in Tipperary Racecourse. What is about 30 million of an investment there? It really is good news for the area, even for Tipperary town itself.
Yes, I suppose, yes, going on to some good news. It's an absolutely fantastic investment for the area to become the second all-weather track in the country outside of Dundalk. And it's a huge investment, I suppose, in Tipperary, which is a leading light in horse racing in Ireland, and particularly in rural Ireland. It's a major investment for the Tipperary town region and Limerick Junction, where this will be based. And it should have huge economic benefits for the area in terms of employment and in terms of maybe additional tourism in the area going forward. And it's fantastic. A lot of the trainers will benefit now that they'll be within driving distance of a track of this level, that they won't have to go up to Dundalk, particularly if you're living in Cork or Tipperary. or Limerick or Waterford. It's an awful expense and a burden on some of the trainers to have to consistently go up to Dundalk. So to have this on their doorstep going forward is hugely beneficial, and hopefully it'll bring a lot of positives with it going forward. And as a county council, Tipperary County Council and Tipperary Tourism, we need to work together to see how this can benefit the area and what supports we could put in place to make this, a resource that can be enjoyed for all, I suppose.
All right, good to talk to you, John. Thanks for your time this morning. Thank you. Good morning to you. It's Cllr John O'Heney speaking to us there. 1800 938 007.
Tipp FM's Tipp Today.
With Slattery's Garage, puck on. It's time to change. Test drive the award-winning range of Peugeot hybrids and fully electric vehicles at Slattery's Garage today. See slatterysgarage.ie.
If it matters to you, it matters to us. Call Tipp today on 1800 938 007.
Now, John, making reference to Paschal Donohoe's stepping down, says, we as a country are now losing the one person who could control all the partners in this government. Can't see it making, and I presume referring there to the coalition, can't see it making its way to the next budget. Austin on very interesting point, in fact, he's making. And he says, how can somebody so important, such as a Minister for Finance, leave his job on a few days' notice? You or I would have to give at least 1 month, if not 6 months. And Austin goes on to say, but his lasting legacy will be the reduction of the Irish GDP debt percentage from over 100% to less than 40% today. And he says what the UK wouldn't do for those figures. But it's a very interesting point, is it not? Minister for Finance decides to leave his job on a few days' notice. Anyway, over the last few days and yesterday on the programme as well, we have discussed open drug use in Clonmel, and huge reaction to this on social media as well as to our phones. Many people making the point how it's becoming an issue not just in Clonmel but right across the county, in fact. And Donald joins me now. Donald, good morning to you.
Good morning, Fran, and good morning to your listeners.
And good to talk to you today. What are you making of this, Donald? I mean, what do you see as you make your rounds around the county, Donald? What are you seeing?
Well, there is antisocial behaviour, and it seems to be sporadic, but it's by the same token, it's everywhere. It seems to occur in one spot and then maybe die down, and then it recurs in another spot. Nina had a problem for a while, and it seems to have died down a bit. Now, that's just my own observations, just walking around the town.
Yes.
Okay? But I'm sure other towns and villages might have taken up the cudgel, if you like, on that particular one, because I'm sure it has reoccurred somewhere else. You see, the problem that we see around is drug dealing is out there. It's still evident in the town of Nina, as opposed to the antisocial behaviour part, which seems to taper back somewhat.
And would you have witnessed that in Nina?
Well, if you stand in particular places, Fran, and you're observant and you keep your eyes open, you'll see things.
Okay.
And indeed, in a rural village, if you happen to be out doing particular things, you'll see things as well.
Yeah, so you're not surprised at what you heard about Clonmel, and you think it's reflected in other places as well?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have seen that kind of carry on myself personally, but I would have seen the evidence of it. When you go out litter picking for tidy towns, you'll find all sorts of interesting stuff. Put it that way.
Like what? Like syringes and...
I haven't counted syringes, but I've counted dosage bags, small little plastic bags for doses of coke. I've encountered foil used for the heating up of heroin.
Of heroin, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen those. Of course, I associate with all the so-called cans and bottles of the late-night drinker drivers that just toss them out the window as they pass by. No, that's still there. In spite of the recycling effort for money back on cans and all that sort of carry on. What
did you mean, Donald, when you said to Leanne about policing on Lough Derg and the area of Lough Derg? Why?
Lough Derg is a very interesting place at night time, Fran. There's a lot of traffic on there that should not be there. As I hear of stuff being bought across the lake that had been, shall we say, borrowed, inverted commas, over there and brought over here for collection to this side of the lake at night time.
Wow, so there's criminal activity going on the lake.
Absolutely. And of course, the Gardai have no way of patrolling that. There's no mobile patrol on the lake, which is a big mistake, I think. It's a major oversight.
Well, there is a Garda boat or boats, I know, because I've seen them from time to time, but I'm not sure what they're used for, maybe just in an emergency or something like.
I think that's more or less the line for those for recovery and all that kind of thing. But there's no actual patrol on the lake, and consider it's a huge body of inland freshwater. There should be, because like we put lifeboats on the lake, which is quite rational, but there should be policing boats on the lake as well, day and night.
And is that what it's all down to, really? Because this is always emerging in our conversation. Is it all about policing, Donald? Is it all about visible policing?
Well, visible policing would be very, very helpful because, again, I maintain in the town of Nenagh, if there was visible patrols, it would make an awful difference.
Yeah.
You know, it might cut down certain other activities that are going on. But, like, there's also activity in relation to drone use, shall we say, and e-scooter use. I mean, e-scooters should never have been allowed into the country in the first place. Well, of course, we got caught on the hop here. We allowed a sin to happen first, and then we look for repentance afterwards. And we can't seem to control anything from a legislation point of view. I should be grand, let it happen, and then we'll sort it out afterwards.
And are you making the point that these drones and e-scooters are being used for illegal activity in some cases?
100%. Quite apart from the fact that they're a traffic nuisance, both aerial and on the surface. I nearly got taken out the other evening by a guy in an e-scooter coming across a pedestrian junction at speed. So,
wow.
Not too impressed with it, shall we say.
And are you referring there to some e-scooter users and some drone users? Are they delivering drugs, or
yes,
is it?
Yes, they are. Yes, and they're using people under 18 to do it.
Wow.
Of course, because they'll be treated more leniently, inverted commas, through the court system. Whereas if you're over 18, you might end up in the clinker.
Is that anecdotal, or did you see this going on? Or?
I haven't seen this personally myself, but people tell me things, because I'm around a long time now, friend, and I've learned a lot over the years.
Right, so you're in no doubt about this, is what I'm saying to you.
I mean, I put it this way, in one estate in Nenagh, there's 8 drug dealers.
Right.
And how this can happen in this day and age escapes me, because in former times they would have been politely told to go away, and it wouldn't be by the Gardai.
Yeah, it's and again we hear this all the time in the programme, that the dogs in the streets know such and such a thing, and
yes, but see, unfortunately, from a legal perspective, you need evidence.
You do, and that's a very
manpower and woman power.
That's a very fair point.
It takes a lot of slogging. Maybe the odd stakeout or two, just to catch somebody doing one particular thing, and then you can nab them. But without that, you can't.
And again, we're down here to resources once again, Donald, I suppose.
Yes, exactly. And of course, I made the point to Leanne there. We're now governed from Ennis as opposed to Thurles.
Yeah.
And from a divisional point of view, which I think is utterly nuts. Because the previous commissioner, I think, was in the Lululand when it comes to this sort of thing. We need to have a local control centre so that we can deploy resources locally and deal with problems locally. Ennis is 50 miles away, it's an hour's drive. And if you have resources over there, let's don't go to Tipperary.
But they would tell you that they have inspectors and they have superintendents here in Tipperary making decisions for the area.
Yeah, well, we have insufficient vehicles and patrols to move around in or with, and that is a problem, unfortunately. And until the government wakes up and does the business, maybe the new Minister for Justice might move things along pretty optimistically.
All right. Good to talk to you as always, Donald. Thanks very much indeed for that. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning to you. Yesterday on the programme, the SOC Dems Deputy Aidan Farrelly joined us, and he has put forward that bill as to whether a referendum should be held to reduce the voting age to 16. Our good friend John O'Heney was in touch with us about this, and he joins me now. Good morning to you, John.
Good morning, friend. How are you?
Good to talk to you today. Do I gather you're not impressed with that notion of reducing the voting age to 16?
No, I'm not impressed by it. And this is another woke sort of stuff coming out of the soft stems. They have to realise that, like, 18 is the voting age. 16-year-olds aren't interested in voting, in my opinion anyway, because they're more interested, as I said, in Taylor Swift and all this, they want this college life and all that. Now, when they get to college, well, then they can join all these different groupings like Ógra Fianna Fáil and Ógra Fine Gael and Sinn Féin and all that, and then maybe broaden their horizons. But 16-year-olds can be whitewashed, and a lot of teachers that are out there, I'm not saying every teacher now, and I'm not saying they're doing it purposely, but a lot of teachers can influence children at 16 years of age into voting. So if you have a general election in the morning and you have a teacher whose ideology is something like the Social Democrats, which I consider to be a woke agenda, well, then that can rub off youngsters of 16 years of age who are still studying.
So that's your fear, that there would be an ideology maybe imposed on them in some way. Is that it?
Yeah, it would be my fear that there is an ideology being imposed upon children of, like, from 16, 15, 14 down. Like, I know going back in our day, we knew our grandparents were always voting with Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael or Labour or whoever it was, and normally most of us would continue on that tradition, but life has changed a bit, and social media has made an awful difference. And let's just take the rights in Dublin, or things like that, or things about the iPass centres. I mean, youngsters are reading all this on social media, they're reading it all. Youngsters as young as 13 can read on social media, on TikTok and all that. And they get into this. These guys are good people, that they're trying to demonstrate that our country shouldn't be getting into, all this rubbish. And then when they're given the voting age at 16, will they vote right? Will they vote left? Will they vote centralist? And the majority of them will probably see all this crack on TikTok, and they'll probably vote with the crowd that probably the most extremist. Now, I'm not saying that the Social Democrats are extremists.
Of course, no, I know exactly what you're saying, but is it a case that the Soc Dems need to be careful what they wish for then? Is that the point you're making?
Yeah, that's the point I'm making, that Soc Dems should be very careful for what they wish for, because they have a couple of things on their agenda which would not favour people, particularly in rural Ireland. And like, I personally don't think that giving a person the vote at the age of 16 is a good idea. I know we have some very good people under 16, like Cara Darmody there now as an inspiration. And also that lad in Clonmel, Joe Hawkins, yes. But they're very few and scarce between, Fran. The most of 16 and 17-year-olds are more interested in where they're going to go to college, how they're going to spend their college time. Well, I was recently at a place where college had a night out, and most of the people there were freshers, and by God, they knew how to party. But you know yourself.
Well, young people always knew how to party, and
They do, but I think myself that a lot of them don't realise that the likes of me and you, right, and people of our generation, we paid interest rates of 16 and 17%.
We surely did, yeah.
And they seem to look at it and they say, oh, Ireland, we've this, we've that, we've the other. How many of our grandchildren would believe us? We told them that we didn't have a toilet in the house, we had a toilet up the back. That when we were born and when we were young kids, we were washed in front of a fire with a bat in front of us. I don't think that 16 to 18-year-olds should learn the laws of life first.
But I suppose the argument is that if they had the vote, they'd have a certain responsibility, and it might push them into maybe, I don't know, getting more aware of what's happening politically or the like.
Yes, I agree with you, and I think the presidential election showed that up. I'd like to know how many of them young people over 18 actually went and voted. And secondly, I'd like to see how many of them actually voted for either Catherine Connolly or spoilt their vote.
Well, we're hearing that quite a lot of youngsters voted for Catherine Connolly, but I don't have full evidence of what the breakdown on that is. Yeah.
And I saw that everywhere. And I have a granddaughter, and it was her first time to vote. And I said to her about Heather Humphreys, and she said to me, "Oh no," she said, "Catherine Connolly deserves the vote because she's all about Palestine and wants to." That's what they saw. They did not see the other side, right? They did not see the other. Palestine was their main concern, whereas your main concern should be, in a general election now scenario, is yourself. What government do you think will be good for you? If you're a taxpayer, we got nothing in the budget this year, right? And stuff like that. And I think that youngsters, when they don't have to go out and earn their own few pounds, well then, until they go out and earn their few pounds, then they'll realise that there is a big difference between certain parties.
All right, John. I must leave it there because I'm heading towards news. But good.
Just say one more thing, Fran.
Yeah, just quick, if you would, John. Yeah.
You know about, it's ironic that Simon Harris has after taken over the financial portfolio, seeing that he did drop out of college, and the new Minister of Foreign Affairs was probably the worst ever Minister for Justice. And I think Fine Gael are in a bit of trouble.
Do you think so?
Oh, I think so, yeah. I think Fionnan Sheahan said it earlier, all the big hitters are nearly gone.
Yeah.
And we're relying on small fry to kind of keep the party going. And I think even Fine Gael supporters, like the two of us, are starting to see down the line that it's not good, you know.
And did I see you say to us in the message you think this coalition isn't going to last the base?
Paschal was the one person that was able to keep the coalition together, I think. I think he had a way with Fianna Fáil. He also had a way with the likes of our own, Michael Lowry and all them in there. And I think that things that get like Fianna Fáil, they have their own internal problems. Fine Gael, it's been known for a long time that the knives are out for Simon Harris. And it's only a matter of time as to why. So he's probably trying to stave off that. I think myself.
Sadly, I must leave it there because I could talk to you all day as always, John. But thanks very much for your time this morning. Thank you. News and information is coming up.
Tipp FM's Tipp Today.
With Slattery's Garage, Puck On. Main Peugeot dealers in the Premier County. And now stocking the full range of the luxury French car brand DS Automobiles. Book your test drive today with Slattery's Garage, Puck On. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Tipp FM's Tipp Today.
With Slattery's Garage, Puck On. Over half a century driving the people of Tipperary and surrounding areas with quality, reliable and economical vehicles, new and used. Call the sales team today to discuss your next car or van on 067 24 111.
Thanks, Pat. Welcome back to the second hour of Tipp Today. One of our listeners is very cross and saying this is from a retired Garda Fran, Drew Harris, and his outsiders ruined morale in the Gardai, young men and women working under burnout. I spoke to two members lately. One said, I love my job, but I hate going to work. The other said, most older members are just counting down the years. You have to blame for inflicting this on Irish, the government to blame for inflicting this on Irish people, says our contributor this morning. Now, in light of the video circulating of two men openly shooting up drugs on the main guard in Clonmel, we received a correspondence from a relation of one of the men involved. And just to bring you that, it reads, like a lot of people in Clonmel, I'm related to one of the men in that video going around this week. It's been a rough week, and honestly, it's heartbreaking to see how people are talking about the two lads who are genuinely unwell. People seem to forget they're real people who need help. Even if they haven't made the best choices, we still care about them. They were once just little babies, you know. No one really gets how much pain we are feeling right now. I just hope something positive can come from all of this. Maybe it can be a wake-up call for us as a community to really address the problem and to find a proper solution. We need to have an honest chat so that other families don't end up in the same position. Now, these conversations are happening because a community training workshop is set to take place in the Talbot Hotel tomorrow and Friday, titled Understanding Substance Use Patterns, Local Trends and Effective Response, which is being held in response indeed to the Clonmel Community Conversations on Substance Misuse. Glad to be joined now by one of the organisers, and that's Stacey Lyons. Stacey is from the National Voluntary Drug and Alcohol Sector. Good morning to you, Stacey, and good to see you today, and thanks for coming in to us. Will you tell us about your organisation, NVDAS? What is it all about?
Yes, so thanks, Fran. Thanks for having us in this morning to speak on this. So I am the National Voluntary Coordinator for the National Voluntary Drug and Alcohol Sector. Our organisation is an umbrella organisation for community and voluntary sector services that deal with substance use across the whole spectrum nationally. So we have about 80 to 90 members at the moment. They go across all tiers of the service, so from harm reduction to recovery services and everything else in between. So that would be youth support, education and prevention, harm reduction, stabilisation, detox, residential treatment, and then aftercare in recovery and a sustaining recovery.
Right, and do you liaise with the Gardai as well?
We would in certain projects, yeah.
Right, okay.
And our services would have, a lot of our services would have really, really positive relationships with the guards.
Part of the title to your workshop is Substance Use Trends. Will you talk to me about those trends? Because what shocked an awful lot of people was the idea, and you know, I suppose we shouldn't be so naive, but the idea of people openly using syringes on the main guard in Clonmel. What about the trends? Yeah,
so like obviously I can't speak on that individual case, but the trends that are out there, like opiate use, which would be the syringe use or the intravenous use, and as horrific as that is to see, that is a very minute, I suppose, percentage of usage of any substance. And the top 3 for our area, our region in the southeast, from the last year, so 2024's HRB statistics, where alcohol was still top, then cannabis and cocaine use. For our youth in Tipperary, so under 18s and 18s to 24-year-olds, you're looking at, there was 69 cases treated for cocaine use, 47 cases for cannabis use, and 33 cases for alcohol use.
That's in Tipperary?
That's Tipperary alone in 2024. So they are the cases that presented to residential treatment.
Right, okay. You're deliberately talking about alcohol when we talk about drug misuse. Do we often sort of leave that aside as something
we do,
that's
because alcohol is a legal substance,
legal, yes.
But it is a substance that gets misused quite a lot.
Yeah.
And like the people in that video didn't start at intravenous use. They didn't start at opiate use. And a lot of our youth, and we have done a Planet Youth survey within the secondary schools in Clonmel last year, in the last academic year, and the stats have come out from that. And alcohol use in youth level is quite high. So we have to address alcohol misuse. And we know the great week of sport we had last week.
Yeah.
We saw all the scenes in the pubs on Sunday. And yes, a lot of those had great crack, went home at a reasonable hour, had their couple of pints or couple of drinks, got up the next morning and went to work in great form. But there is a percentage of those who don't stop there. And when we're talking about substance use, we have to talk about
that has
all
to be part of the
substances.
conversation.
It has to be.
Yeah. The use of cocaine then is interesting on several different levels, because many of the people who will be regular enough users of cocaine are people they're going about daily jobs. They might have even jobs of great importance and people depending on them and stuff. And they see nothing wrong with this. They almost see it as a clean kind of a recreational drug. You're smiling at me when I say that. That, some people feel, sure, it's grand. We only do a few lines at the weekend.
Yeah, and it has become quite socially acceptable to do that. But like with everything, all of that's great crack until it's not great crack, until it's problematic, until you're not turning up for work, until you're not using just on a Saturday night, going out with the lads, until you're sitting at home on a Tuesday in a dark room on your own doing it, and your life is crumbling around you. And cocaine has become something that has I suppose bridged the gap between your stereotypical drug user and the, I suppose, upper class. And
the people going about work on a daily basis. Yeah. And they don't see this as affecting them, and we hear it sometimes among our sports people as well, because they're saying, well, we don't have hangovers from this stuff. But as you say, that's the beginning. Yeah,
and we have a lot of people that will speak out about that had the recreational use, and they saw it kind of snowball into something that was a monster that they needed help to defeat. And it is something that just takes over. And it takes over bit by bit by bit. And it's no longer the one or two lines on a Saturday night. Like I said, it's sitting in your bedroom in the dark, online, and it develops into something much, much more problematic.
The other part of the title to your workshop then, community response.
Yeah.
The response that I'm seeing over the last while, and indeed over years, is that people are very frustrated by all of this. People are fearful as well about what they're seeing, because sometimes to feed a habit, people become criminal, and they're stealing, and there's burglaries going on, and people are afraid to walk towns at night and the like. So what community response aspect are you referring to there?
And like, friend, like we spoke just a few minutes ago, like my role, I have a national remit, but I'm a local person. So Clonmel is my town, and I have young children, and so I see what everyone else sees as well, not just through the rose-coloured glasses of my profession,
yes,
but I see it at the raw face of it also. So I understand, but I don't think we're ever going to solve this problem within our town if we don't just take a step back and ask ourselves, well, am I, like, do I need to take a certain amount of maybe action here? Could I engage with someone a bit kinder? Could I maybe offer a hand to help, or ask them, are they okay today? Do they need help ringing a service? There is a plethora of services within Clonmel, and there is a number of services outside of Clonmel that look after people and have looked after people from Clonmel.
You see, I'm not sure about that, Stacey, because, a lot of the descriptions coming into us of various events is that, there's boisterous stuff going on, there's pushing and shoving, and there's violence involved. And, you're not going to have people want to engage there, even kindly people who would want to help in some way.
And look, like I said, I understand it. But the pushing and shoving and the boisterous stuff happens by people who aren't misusing substances also. And that behaviour has to be dealt with as that behaviour. But I am talking about seeing someone really unwell and not taking a moment to maybe ring the guards for a wellness check. If you're not able to take that step forward
you're saying
yourself.
If somebody's lying there and they're not responding, and
or they just don't look well.
Okay.
or ringing the Substance Misuse Centre in Clonmel and just informing them so that the outreach services can maybe check in on someone. So it's those little things as a community we can take a step forward together, because if we create a space full of hostility and shame for people who are misusing substances, if someone starts to get into a run of, I suppose, misuse, and they're not at crisis level yet, they are less likely to put up their hand because they will be shamed and they will be thrown aside and looked at less than, because that's the environment that they have grown up in. They have been taught to not look at that person because they're less than, or they're trouble, or whatever it might be. So if we aren't looking at people as a human being first and dealing with the behaviour also, like, I am not saying forgive them for everything and let them away with everything, and you know what I mean? Like, I'm just, we need to look at it with a human eye, because like your texter or your caller had said, these are human beings. These are people who were little boys, little girls sometimes,
and I mean, I understand that perfectly. But I would say to you,
of course,
that the older people who are trying to make their way around the town are human beings as well.
And I completely
who would have brought
understand
up families and who would have spent an awful lot of time, working in their communities and stuff. And now they're fearful because of what's going on out there.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's a community response. So it is us coming here and providing the education and information around it. It is the guards. And the guards will be present at these workshops. So we have service representatives there at the workshops. So it's about a community response of all of us coming together so that we can be informed, we can be engaged, and we can approach this in the best way possible and in the safest way possible. So this isn't a them or us. It isn't a one rights above someone else's right. This is everyone in Clonmel should feel safe in Clonmel, regardless of who they are, where they live.
Okay, I'm just looking at the screen in front of me, and there's a lot of, there's a varied response to what you're saying.
I can just imagine.
Most people making the point that, listen, we need to feel safe. These people might have issues. Maybe they need to be looked after from a medical point of view or from a psychiatric point of view. Fine. But, we should be able to go and live our lives and not be afraid.
I don't disagree with that. Okay. Like I said, I'm from the town. I have children.
Right, so I can
see both sides of the coin.
Okay. So tell me, who's welcome along to your workshop then?
So these workshops are aimed at adults. Okay. So anyone that has an interest to learn more about what is going on, to learn more about the trends and the use within Clonmel, Tipperary and nationally, and to learn more about the services that provide any type of support within Clonmel.
Right, very good. Now, they're happening at 7 o'clock, I think, tomorrow evening, is it?
7 o'clock tomorrow evening and at 10 a.m. on Friday. And it's just so that we can capture as many people as possible.
Okay, and do people have to register ahead of time?
They don't have to register. They just show up with an open mind, and we are there to discuss everything.
Right, open discussion there. And along with yourself, who else will be presenting?
So myself and Katrina Crow, I know you had Katrina here a couple of times before. She's from Cllr. We will be kind of hosting it, and then we have Dawn Russell. She is the CEO of Anna Liffey. She's also an NVDAS member, and she is our early warning and emerging trends representative in the national forums. But Dawn is actually from Clonmel as well, so she has an invested interest in the town. So she is coming down to, I suppose, speak on the national figures and at a more kind of models that of care and models of that work in other rural towns across the country that they have helped implement.
Okay, so we'll be able to hear some comparisons.
Some comparisons, yeah, of course. And then we have representatives there from Ashery and from the Guards, and then we have Sinead O'Mahony and Carmel O'Neill from the Substance Misuse Centre in Clonmel, and they will be providing the information locally.
Okay, right. I know you're going to talk about early warning systems and that kind of thing.
Early warning, emerging trends, the systems, recognising the signs, symptoms, behaviours, and exploring all the warning signs and warning symptoms of all the most commonly used substances here in Clonmel.
All right, Stacey, good to see you. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
For that. 1800 938 007, 25 past 10.
Tipp FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, puck on. It's time to change. Test drive the award-winning range of Peugeot hybrids and fully electric vehicles at Slattery's Garage today. See slatterysgarage.ie.
FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, puck on. Main Peugeot dealers in the Premier County. And now stocking the full range of the luxury French car brand DS automobiles. Book your test drive today with Slattery's Garage, puck on. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Yeah, glad to be joined now by Thomas Ryan. Thomas is a community activist in Clonmel. Thomas, good morning to you.
Good morning, Frank, and good morning to all your listeners.
It's good to talk to you today, Thomas. You've been thinking about the whole idea about drug misuse, and I know you saw that really unfortunate video that's doing the rounds as well. You think that it's time we looked outside the box in dealing with drug abuse?
First, Frank, I just want to say you got correspondence there from a relative of a person who was involved in that video over the weekend. Yeah. I agree 150 million% with that person. Mm. They are someone's son, someone's daughter, someone's family member, and it is hard to see it. And my heart goes out to people that are on drugs and are taking things like that. I know people saying, look, the streets are unsafe and all that, but at the end of the day, we have to remember, people fall into bad places. Some get out of it, some don't. And when I seen the video, I actually just turned around to the person who showed me, and I just said, let's turn it off. I just couldn't.
It was a hard watch. That's for sure. It was a difficult watch. But I know, Thomas, the moment you say that, and I know that you mean that with great kindness and all of that, people will get on to me, as they did while I was speaking to Stacey, and say that's all fine and very well, but you have kids witnessing this kind of thing now, and you have people who are feeling unsafe in their own town.
We do, Fran, and look, it's the sign of times. It's not just happening in Clonmel. It's around the country, and it's knocking on everyone's doors. It's just been highlighted more in Clonmel because we are a big land town, and it's just been highlighted more. And people are using their phones and all that.
And when you talk about thinking outside the box, what have you in mind?
What I was thinking, Fran, is they should look at the model that's been rolled out in Dublin at present, which is called the Medically Supervised Injection Facility. It's been running since 2024 in Dublin, and it's run by Merchants Quay Ireland in conjunction with the HSE. They have this place where people can go in, they can shoot up in a safe, professional place.
With clean needles.
With clean needles, the place is disinfectant and everything afterwards. And with that, then they're kept in there for 30 minutes to see if they're okay, if they need anything, like if they need any help, or if they're going to relapse or anything like that. This is what they should be looking at. Now, I know it's been rolled out in Dublin at present, and it's 18 months. We're nearly into a year.
And it's addressing, I guess, the possibility of overdose and the like as well. Yeah. Yeah.
But I was just looking at some of the stats from it in Dublin. Like in just within 3 months of it, they had 300 visits. More than 100 unique clients. Majority of the ages were between 25 and 44. And it's several overdoses that are managed on site with no fatalities whatsoever. So if that alone doesn't speak that Clonmel needs something like that on a smaller scale, it'd be great. It would cost somewhere between $250,000 to $600,000. It's something that would be so beneficial for the town of Clonmel and for the county of Tipperary as well as the south of Tipperary.
But I remember when that was brought up first in Dublin, the idea of having that medically supervised injecting facility, there was a lot of trouble over it, and a lot of people said, we don't want this in our area. We don't want to have an area that drug users are flocking to, and it's going to make us unsafe here and make our area unsafe. So there was a lot of issues around the establishing of this.
Now, I walked down there many times. I know I've been Dublin quite a lot because I have friends up there,
yeah.
And I have a bit of other things up there as well. And I walked down by the riverbank at the Liberties. That's where it is. It's over in the river court, in the riverbank, in the Liberties. And you know yourself now, the Liberties is one of
the oldest parts of Dublin.
The oldest parts of Dublin, yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah. And with that, I have spoken to people there. At first, they were like, yeah, we are kind of a little bit, but as time went on, they started to get into the idea of it. And they really are now kind of, a lot of people out there now, and I'd say a majority of people out there, are so good to see it. They're saying that people are going in, they're being safe, and that it's been done right. Now, I think the 18-month rollout of that is due to end in the middle of next year with a review. And I think it's something that, if it looks well for Dublin, why can't they roll it out throughout the country?
I think one of the difficulties is if you do this, you're accepting then that intravenous drug use is happening, and it's happening to such a point that you have to kind of supervise it in some sort of fashion. And I think people are slow to come around to the notion that we have to accept this. Would you agree with that?
I would agree, but why can't we accept it that it's being done in a safe environment? There's a bill before the Dáil in the next week or two in regards called Decriminalise the Drug User. It's a Labour Party bill. Now, I'm not promoting it that I am a Labour member, but this is something that a bill that is going to bring in, if passed, hopefully, that it will focus on the drug user and it will decriminalise them as well. So you will see community-based harm reduction services addressing disease transmissions and overdoses, introducing supervised injection facilities like they have in Dublin, and a commitment to the client-centred and advanced-based recovery programs, which is something that really needs to be brought in. And as many of your listeners have said over the last week, the dogs on the street knows who is dealing the drugs in Clonmel.
And could I, just for the sake of argument, could I say to you, and it might be occurring to some of our listeners out there, I mean, the kind of cost of setting up a supervised injection facility, maybe that would be better spent in terms of, prevention. What would you say to that?
This would help prevent. Like, I've done a bit of research on it. I sent it on to yourself.
And it's here in front of me. Yeah.
Between 250,000 and 600,000 a year. If that money could save 10 lives, isn't it money well spent? Like, we won't be looking at 300 or 400 people going in a day in Tipperary. Right. We'll be looking at a handful of maybe having 3 to 4 booths. Like, they can't say we don't have the room of services. There's plenty of services in Clonmel that can be redone. One, you could look at Quilgreeny House. It's only offices. 2, there's plenty of rooms up in the old St. Luke's building. And 3, we could even look at the substance misuse centre in St. Luke's grounds as well. So, like, all of that could be looked at.
Okay, and for those who would say to you, well, Thomas, you're active in our community, what about the ordinary people who are trying to make their way around this drug taking and, trying to get on with their lives, and they're affected by this?
Fine, look, it's not just everyone. I'm affected by it as well. Like, I'm living in Clonmel. Like, I'm living in the town centre. So I see it day in, day out of what's going on.
Yeah.
And my heart does go out to these people. There should be a place there for them. And people should try and not feel safe. The powers that be, that is the Minister of Justice, along with our own TDs, our councillors, and every stakeholder should come together and try and improve this. Make Clonmel a better town. So better lives. And what we need is joined up thinking. And I know now, I've heard Deputy Healy, I heard Deputy McGrath, and I heard Deputy Murphy talking in the Dáil about this. And in all fairness, they're trying their best, but I think they're banging their head off a brick wall. I think Kim Callahan needs to come down and see what's going on in the streets of Clonmel. And also, one guard out of 194 given to Clonmel. That's ridiculous. In the last round.
Yeah, and that's in light of Gardai who are, transferring and the like, or Gardai who might be out sick. And
and when you think of it, like, the Gardai themselves are stretched beyond being stretched. We're not just dealing with Tipperary anymore. Like, Cllr and Tipp are together as one, and the headquarters is in Cllr. When you think, like, the headquarters of Tipperary Division should be in Tipperary. Like, we have the Guard College, the National Guard College in Tipperary. Why can't we have our own division of our head as well?
All right, Thomas, it's an interesting conversation, and we'll see what comes from that. But good to talk to you as always. Thanks for your time, Thomas. Thank you. That's Thomas Ryan speaking to us there. A caller spoke to Leanne and making the point, as a recovered drug user myself, it says here, I would like to commend the conversation surrounding the unfortunate video this week. Although I'm not in a position to come on myself, I wanted to share my thoughts. Drug use is a slippery slope. One too many hangovers after hard nights of drinking leads to a line of cocaine to feel fresh for work. This turns to more lines, suddenly on weekdays, weekends, and any time you can fit it in. The urging and the burn takes over. It's all you can think about. Suddenly, you are the most confident and funny person in the room. You constantly search for this feeling. You watch your friends and family suddenly disgusted by you. You feel shame, but you feel helpless. It took over my life, and thankfully I got help. These conversations are essential. From Stacey to Thomas, these are the things we need to talk about, and I thank you. And that's from our listener today. Martin Brown was on to us. Martin, of course, former Sinn Féin TD in Tipperary. He says, Fran, yes, people should feel safe in their communities, but let's have a bit of empathy for the addicts. They are somebody's husbands, sons, daughters, family, or just friends. The vast majority of antisocial behaviour in our towns and villages is caused by those who, as a society, mostly ignore that is the recreational drug users. Why is that not being covered more by society or by the media? None of us know what addicts have gone through to find themselves in situations as has been covered this week. That comes in from, as I say, in from Martin Brown. How do you feel about that? 083 311 3311. Somebody saying, where is that talk on drugs happening tomorrow evening? It's happening at the Talbot Hotel in Clonmel at, is it 7 o'clock? I think it is. I'll have a look back at the notes. Oh, hang on, they're here in front of me. It's happening at 7 o'clock and running until 8:30 tomorrow night at the Talbot Hotel in Clonmel. And on Friday then, again at the Talbot from 10 o'clock in the morning until 11:30.
If it matters to you, it matters to us. Call Tipp today on 1800 938 007. Join the conversation in Tipperary. Contact us through Facebook, Twitter, or email tipptoday@tippfm.com.
Now with Christmas, Christmas just around the corner. Many of us might use days like Black Friday or Cyber Monday to get some last minute bargains. But the message is beware, because a new Black Friday research from the Competition and Consumer Protection Commission has highlighted that 60% of those who have previously made an unplanned purchase have regretted it. Now, Jennifer Darmody is Media Communications Manager for the Competition and Consumer Protection Commission and joins me now. Jennifer, good morning to you.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome indeed. No matter what the saving, Jennifer, a bargain is really only a bargain if you need it.
That's right. And our research did say that, 72% of the people that we surveyed have made an unplanned purchase during the sale. So the sales are really a time where impulse buys are quite high. And also, as you said, the regret can be higher for people who do make those unplanned purchases. So it's really important, especially at times when, retailers are trying to get you into the stores, they're trying to get you to spend money, and they're using all the marketing campaigns and tactics that they can think of to pressure you into buying, that you really take a minute and make a plan for what you actually want to buy, and also a financial plan, because you don't want to regret a purchase and end up spending money that you didn't need to spend.
Is the pressure on consumers, is it equal online and in the stores?
There's a lot of marketing tactics across both online and in stores. There's also advertising on television. Everybody would have seen that. And then there's also social media influence that is coming out. Our research is asking that question for the first time this year. And actually it was interesting to see that 28% of people who are likely to make a purchase in Black Friday or Cyber Monday said they are likely to be influenced by a social media influencer. So there is different tactics that are happening online, and people can be more susceptible to those.
How subtle is that influencing online? I thought that if an influencer is representing a product or a service, that they have to make it quite clear online.
You're absolutely correct. So the rules around social media influencers is if they are benefiting commercially, or they're getting a financial kind of kickback, or even if they're gifted something and there isn't necessarily something that they have to do for that, it should be as transparent as possible. They should have hashtag ad at the start of the post. There is also hashtag gifted. They should make it really, really clear. But it's still not always as clear as it should be. And we found that when we've looked into this industry, it can be a lot of hit and miss in terms of who is playing by the rules and who isn't. So consumers need to really, really think about that. When they're getting a recommendation from a social media influencer, they need to think about the fact that maybe that influencer is benefiting from putting that recommendation out there. It might not be as objective as they think. And then they need to think about, do I want to take action on that based on a recommendation from someone who is essentially gaining from putting that recommendation out there?
There's also mistrust, I know, Jennifer, about the whole business of, pre-sale prices, and then you're shown what discount you can benefit from here. People don't always trust that.
Yeah, that's correct. There's still a high level of mistrust amongst consumers when it comes to the discounts. Now, there are very, very stringent rules around how Black Friday sales need to be shown. So businesses must show the lowest prior price that product has had in the last 30 days, and the discount must be based on that lowest price. So it essentially means retailers shouldn't be inflating the price maybe a week before Black Friday just to take it down and imply that it's a big discount. Now, by and large, retailers are following those rules. Those rules have been in place for a while, but some retailers are better than others. And if consumers feel that they see something kind of dubious going on in that respect, they should contact the CCPC or contact our helpline at 01402 5555.
What comeback do we have, Jennifer? For instance, if I buy something I feel I was pressured into it, I take it home and I realise it was a mistake. Do I have comeback?
So if you buy something online, you have really, really strong consumer rights. You have a 14-day cooling off period, and that enables you, as long as you tell the retailer that you want to return the item in 14 days, you can in fact return it. Now, your rights are slightly different in store. You have time to browse, you have time to look at it, inspect it, so you don't have that same cooling off period. So it's really, really important that consumers check the returns policy on anything before they buy it, because it can be different. And even if they do change their mind online, there is a chance that they could be charged for posting the item back, for example. So it's really, really important that consumers are checking those returns policies before being pressured into buying something. So
a final piece of advice to people who might be thinking about shopping on either Black Friday or Cyber Monday, your advice would be what, Jennifer?
My advice would be to make a plan. Think about what you really, really want or what you really, really need. Don't be pressured into things that you see that you weren't planning on buying. Make a financial plan so you don't overspend on your budget, and just be conscious of, what's being presented to you. Time-limited sales, this item's about to run out, this is something I highly recommend if it was an influencer. Think about how you're being pressured before you make a decision.
All right, good to talk to you today, and thanks for coming on with us, Jennifer. Thank you. That's Jennifer Darmody there, Media Communications Manager with the Competition and Consumer Protection Commission. Leanne is with me. There's a part of that conversation that resonates with you, which is the whole business of impulse buying. You've been an impulse buyer, have you?
I'm the queen of impulse buying. It's terrible. It's actually an issue, but like that, I get notions. And I get a notion in my head and I see an ad online and I'm like, I feel like this will add to my life hugely.
I have to have this.
And then it arrives and I'm like, what did I just spend my money on? It's really not good. And like that, social media, I'm a victim of social media advertising completely.
And you know these influencers that Jennifer referred to there, would you listen to people? I mean, would you be influenced by what an influencer would say?
In recent years, you have to be very careful because now they have to label the videos that they're being paid. But before, I wouldn't have known that. And I'd be thinking, oh, this looks fantastic. These ripped jeans that have rips the whole way down and they're going to be the height of style in the summer. And I need to get these now while they're still in stock.
Right.
And never wore the jeans. If I did wear them, my mum...
you did buy them?
I bought the jeans and I remember my mum said to me, Leanne, your knees are hanging out. Where's the rest of the... Like, you spend €60 on a pair of jeans that have no knees in them. It's just terrible. Or moon boots. I bought moon boots at one stage.
What are moon boots?
Like big, thick platform ski boots.
Good God, they sound even horrific.
I've never been...
Are they like Ugg boots? No.
Like Ugg boots, but bigger.
Oh, right.
Real thick, huge sole. I was like 6 foot and I've never been skiing in my life. Never intend to go skiing, but I felt like it was going to be a fashion statement and I was going to have them.
You'll have to bring them in.
Oh, they were terrible. And I remember I went out in them one day and I remember my brother looking up at me and he's taller than me. These big white ugly boots. I don't know what I was thinking.
Right. What else?
Oh, the Labubu's.
The Labubu's.
I fell into the Labubu trend. I went around with the orange monster for a while. And then I got some common sense because I couldn't fit my keys in my pocket. And I was carrying this monster in my hand with my keys dangling down.
You're a dedicated follower of fashion, aren't you?
Yeah, I like to know what's going on. I like to feel trendy. But I think that I've learned my lesson. And I think COVID was a killer because I was sitting in the house.
Oh, right.
And I had time all day to shop. And I remember parcels coming to the door like every day. I'd say the poor postman was sweating.
And Black Friday and Cyber Monday, would you traditionally shop on those dates?
I don't. No. But it's because of the wait times, which is another side of it. Because if you're on a website, you could be like 150 in the queue and you're waiting. And there's a lot of waiting and a lot of websites shut down.
So that wouldn't interest you?
No, I banned myself from online buying. It's in-store purchases now only because I have to stand there and think about my decisions before I bring it to the counter.
And does that make all the difference? Or can you still impulse buy if you're in a bricks and mortar?
I think you have to think about it more because you can physically hold the object and you can kind of see it up close. You can try them on and you kind of get a very good idea then if you actually need it in your life. But I saw a piece of advice online and I tried to follow, and it's like, if you really want something, leave it a week. And if a week later you've thought about it, you've processed it and you still really want this item, then you should be okay.
I was talking to a lovely friend of mine on Sunday, and she bought men's aftershave for €58 from one of the Chinese sites, and she bought it on the basis of the photograph, and she had matched prices and said this is a great bargain. But when it arrived, it was tiny little vials of the aftershave, as opposed to being a substantial bottle that she saw on the... So you can be completely caught it.
Oh, completely. And especially with some of the new websites, you have to read the small print because they might have a picture of something, but in the little small print it'll say you'll only get a tester, or the little dimensions. You have to follow the dimensions because they're covered in some countries. If they have a picture, once they have the dimensions stated, if you see the picture and assume it's right, that's on you. It's like the man who thought he bought an iPhone on eBay, but he bought a picture of an iPhone. And that was the legality issue. If he had read the description, he would have seen the dimensions and would have seen the details of the product and known it was actually a sheet of paper with a picture of an iPhone.
The other thing is colour, and you and somebody else that I know had a great laugh at me because I bought a certain jacket that turned out to be orange. You have to be very careful about that as well, haven't you?
Oh yeah, colour, and a lot like something might come in person, or sometimes if it's left out in the sun it'll change colour, or they wash out to a different colour. You put it in the washing machine and suddenly the colour runs out of it. So that's a huge thing. Again, in person, sometimes you can actually see the colours of stuff, because I've been so many times I've bought stuff thinking it was going to be lovely and it was going to look lovely, and it arrived and it just wasn't at all.
Now, as everybody knows, I'm not good with colours, but I honestly, it wasn't that colour on the picture. Nobody believes me about that. So your advice to people would be what, Leanne? Having put up your hand here and said you're an impulse buyer, or at least you were a recovering impulse buyer, what would you say to people?
Think about things. Okay. Do you really want them? Is it a need or is it a want? And if you did impulse buy something really bad, tell me so I don't feel as bad about my terrible impulse buys.
So you want people to share with us, do you?
Yeah, the worst thing you ever bought that's just sitting there now and you're thinking, what was I doing that day?
Will you be able to put up a picture of those boots?
Oh my gosh, I must find a picture. They're probably still in the wardrobe, because that's another issue. I don't throw things away. I keep them because it's better to have it and not need it.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you put up a picture of those, I'll put up a picture of my orange jacket.
I thought it suited you. I thought it was lovely.
That's even more worrying. Leanne, thanks very much indeed. If you want to talk to Leanne, it's 1800 938 007. News and information is coming up.
Tipp FM's Tipp Today.
With Slattery's Garage, puck on. It's time to change. Test drive the award-winning range of Peugeot hybrids and fully electric vehicles at Slattery's Garage today. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Tipp FM's Tipp Today.
With Slattery's Garage, puck on. Over half a century driving the people of Tipperary and surrounding areas with quality, reliable and economical vehicles, new and used. Call the sales team today to discuss your next car or van on 067 24 111.
Thanks, Pat. Listen around to say I'm in my 70s, Fran. I was walking down the street where Clinton's shop used to be in Clonmel a few months ago. There was a man in front of me in a wheelchair, and he dropped his bag. So being a concerned lady, I picked it up and I asked if he was okay. He said he was fine and he thanked me. I went on my way then as far as O'Connell Street, and I spent over an hour shopping. On my way back towards the shopping centre, I witnessed the same man being abused verbally by two other men and a lady, all in their 20s, I'm guessing. There was a crowd gathered on the street watching on. I felt very afraid and wondered why nobody had called the Gardai. When I was a safe distance from the scene, I rang 999 and explained what was going on. The lady said they would send Gardai as soon as possible. Obviously, I don't want my name mentioned, Fran, but I, being a 70-year-old woman, have not ventured into Clonmel since, and I had loved going there before this incident. That's into us on 083 311 3311. I'm joined now by Deputy Mattie McGrath. Good morning to you, Mattie.
Fran.
Good. You are calling on the government, I know, Mattie, to immediately rescind the IPAS accommodation contract to Dundrum House Hotel. That's following that High Court decision that quashed the Section 5 planning exemption.
Yes, Fran, I am indeed. I intend to raise it in an hour's time with the Taoiseach on these questions. I look for a topic debate on it, which I didn't get. This beggars belief that this saga continues. You're close to Dundrum and you know what's gone on there. The wonderful institution that it was, and the wonderful community, and the welcoming and the social and cultural, prowess that it did for Tipperary, and for many, many people to go through college and education. I myself have had many weddings there, but look, that's all destroyed by the government policy. We did act, Minister O'Callaghan, Deputy Murphy and myself, there's several months ago when the new company was bought from Spain off a shelf company, and we met with Evelyn Bunn and her team. The engagement team warned them about this. A company that had a value of 50, 60, 70 euro, I'm not sure the figure again, and the fact that all the different inherent dangers that were continuing, and they shouldn't sign a new contract with this company, and of course they did. And I'm including the government of reckless endangerment and, no due diligence whatsoever. We're talking about millions of euros, which is have taxpayers' money, here, and we're not have an issue with the IPAS personnel that are there. They have to be housed somewhere, but we have with the system when they're coming into the country. And Minister O'Callaghan is making efforts. I think CNC is the deportations, and we're also tightening up on them coming in, but we're going to have a whole sea change after the changes they made in England during the week. But Shinskay Ella, but just back to Dundrum. it's a farce at Grand Road. It's awful that this carries on, like without a fire shelter, without a Section 5. This should have been dealt with the day the Tipp Council went in or instructed their barristers to go into the High Court several months ago now and concede that they erred in granting a Section 5. That was the time, and we did go to the minister at that time, Deputy Murphy and myself, to start revoking the contract because they were trading illegally, trading recklessly. Any other small man would be. Look at Sean Meehan, look at countless other people. And for some reason, they're allowed to continue. And what has happened now, and the entity from the Drum House has applied to Board Fionnan, to the County Council again for a new Section 5. And knowing that there was no alterations, upgrades, anything done with water treatment plants or anything else or the buildings, and the County Council are complicit in this, senior management, they referred to Board Fionnan. I spoke to the Town Caller last night on an issue about this because she was raising it several times when she was an opposition TD about a situation similar in a Wexford Hotel. And Board Fionnan, same story. It was knocked by the courts after the council. She did a judicial review herself. And the Board Fionnan granted it. So I have no faith in the process of here. It's a nod and a wink from on high.
And what do you think is going to happen in the meantime, Mattie? Because, I mean, Dundrum House is under a liquidator. We'll probably have to wait till at least next March to know about this other application for a Section 5. In the meantime, what happens?
In the meantime, we have no golf. With no leisure centre.
Yes.
38 jobs. I compliment the ground staff and all the other staff that are trying to keep the place.
Of course, but what I meant was, with the court decision on the Section 5, does that mean that the people who are there now can't be there and will be taken away? Is that...
That would mean that for Frank Curry, if he owned it, or Mattie McGrath, or anybody, or Joe Soap. I mean, we also found out in the High Court yesterday, the owner was a purported owner, they wanted to be the owner, hadn't filed tax returns for 6 years. He said he thought it was his accountant's job. You know, in your annual return of your little business, mine, you employed the accountant and you signed the dotted line sending in the accounts. It's your responsibility to file the account, not the accountant. So,
right.
It's his job.
But specifically, where this decision by the court is concerned, the people who are there now, what is their position, Mattie, if they're there under circumstances that the court have decided is not proper?
They're illegally there, full stop. And the bigger problem is insurance. If you have insurance on a house and your house unfortunately burns down and you had it underinsured, or if you hadn't met the fire certifications or different regulations in the building, your insurance will be declared null and void. So this is the worry here. Is the taxpayer going to be caught again if anything untoward should happen now? And God knows they could from the stories I heard about the way the wiring and other things were immediately worked under over the decades. Now over, we'll say, the last decade or 6 or 7 years. So, I mean, it's a tissue of major concern to me and to any right-thinking person that these 150 or something are there people, and their safety should be paramount for everybody. So, I mean, the courts have decided they're there legally. There's other cases going on with ownership.
And what has Jim Callahan said to you about this, Mattie? Have you spoken to him directly about this?
Not this week. We've tried to meet him. Tried to meet him yesterday in the interregnum while the adjourned for the new minister has been appointed. So, but I have made it quite clear to Jim Callahan, so has Michael Murphy, and it's kind of a sea change for Michael Murphy because his party signed all this up. Remember, the Taoiseach, now tarnished, met Mrs. Crow and Mr. O'Dwyer in Clonmel. They outlined all this to him back months before the last election. It's well known to the Taoiseach and Taoiseach. I want the Taoiseach to come down and visit the place and see the wreck that's caused. But the most important thing must be the lives of the occupants there now, and indeed the staff, and people are going in and out there. So, like any other business, it beggars believe, like the contracts worth 6 and 8 million annually are being paid there.
But either way, Mattie, to the people of Dundrum, it's important to give the real story on this. I mean, it's under a liquidator. I mean, no matter what happens over the next few months, like it's going to be the complexity of what has happened there. It's going to be years before this is sorted out.
Unfortunately, I agree with you 100%. Of course, it's going to be years, and it is very complex. But I mean, first of all, is the contract shouldn't have been signed. We begged with the engagement team. We begged Jim O'Callaghan. At the time, there was an interregnum between the handover of powers, as you know, to with Roger Graham and Minister of Children, who ran amok in the country. But we've seen, I don't know, the 12 iPad centres throughout the country being closed and withdrawn because of issues with contracts. What is so sacrosanct about Dundrum that they want to keep this appalling vista going forward, taking huge resources? And
all right. And you're going to address this in the Dáil again, are you?
I believe this question again today. And numerous other issues, and about Clonmel, about Gardai and everything else. But unfortunately, I have to go back to this decision again in my leader's question, which I only get, every couple of months with the Taoiseach.
Right.
For some reason, I said they have revoked contracts in many other bypass centres. This has to be revoked in the name of honesty, integrity, and safety above all of everyone, and savings to the state.
You mentioned Gardai there. Over the last few days, Mattie, we've been talking about drug abuse in the town. That I'm not sure if you saw that video, but that shocked so many people, about open drug use in the town. What are your thoughts at this stage, Mattie, about, resources and the like? What are you thinking at this point?
I heard some of your debate there about the conference, the engagements going on with the drug people. The people are trying to do their best, and it's very insightful, to listen to it. I heard most of it on the DART this morning. Yeah. But no, look, I'm surprised that politicians are shocked, that Deputy Murphy said he's shocked, or even Councillor Malloy, and I'd say that to Councillor Malloy, say, this is ongoing every day of the week. I walk to town any time I'm in Clonmel, but people come in all the time to the office. Mainly the husbands come in and say, look, their wives can't quit the town to shop. I'm very close with a relative of mine who wouldn't be in Clonmel maybe 3 times a year. Was there on Saturday night. He physically saw what was on the video. He saw it going on now. He didn't do the video, but he was shocked to his core. But I actually know one of the individuals. She's around a long time in Clonmel. It's unfortunate. I've tried to deal with her and over the past, but one was a complete stranger. So the 9 to 9 has to take responsibility. I'm not certain he's in there, but people are coming to the 9 to 9 from way outside Clonmel. I was in shops on Monday, and they tell me they're just weary from the bell ringing. Business is so slow. They would answer the bell immediately, and that these people are coming in. They have no place to go. They're in just.
But Mattie, I think it was 2 years ago you spoke to me. You did a whole thing on this, and you spoke about your experience on O'Connell Street, and it seemed at the time that was shut down in some sort of a way. That conversation.
The Borough District Council, we lost our cooperation, or we had 11 members there. They would fight this every day. But no, the Borough Council and management decided, shut this debate down. McGrath damaging the town. He's only interested in headlines. I wasn't. I was interested in that town. I remember going into the Buccalow with my late dad, selling potatoes. I was only 7 or 8. I read cold weather like this. I had a lovely new cap, and I lost it. And I never forget it. Because it's a big thing, a lovely furry cap. But now the town is just been destroyed. And, lack of investment is appalling. I talked about that in a minute, but the drug taking, I am surprised that politicians are surprised here. Look, this has gone on at several meetings in the Borough Council. Shut it down. No, nothing. Clonmel is fine, do it. I'm out for that too. We need to send out a positive message. But when this is in front of our eyes, we have no guarantee. I met this superintendent, and I wish him well. We had a very robust engagement in Cllr John O'Heney 10 days ago with my daughter Maureen. And look, the main thing I came up from the meeting was, I've been told these things, as I had Councillor O'Heney, we've been told. And what he mainly wanted to know was who was telling me this. I was challenging about the dangers of one single female Garda or a male Garda on their own going out to scenes of crime. We have 2 Gardaí who were ferociously injured in the line of duty in separate incidents, John Walsh and Finney Ryan. They're both back this week, thank God, but back on light duties, and they had horrendous illnesses after being attacked violently, and one nearly killed. We cannot have this situation. The superintendent told me, as he told me, and Councillor Malloy and Mattie McGrath 6, 8, 10 months ago, they're on a good day for all of South Tipperary, except for the Tipperary district, Tipperary town district. I'm talking about Monaghan, Callaghan, Clonmel, Cale, Cashel, Balbreen, all the villages up to Boholahan and down to Henny. He would have 6, 7 guards a sergeant on duty. The team would have that on a unit. And now there are 4 units every 24 hours, the use of 3. So we don't have any services. And the biggest problem he also told me, and I knew that Salvatore O'Leary had to send it to you on the programme, that people aren't ring the system anymore, that they ring 999. And this is the same system albeit different operation. They have 2 centres in Cork and Dublin that the ambulance have, which has been a disaster because you ring 999 to report something, the difficulties with location of where you are. I know the case of my own village where an ex-guard reported a crime in his car and he'd been very clear on how to handle things. And he reported that he waited an hour and a half and then he was told he got back. We have sent the car to the Paschal West, which is in Limerick, as you know. But I think the point is they'll get a call at 10:24. They'll say a car deployed at 10:26. That car could be moving in it. This is the fact of it. It could be in Torres. And this is the
so do you go along with what John O'Heney was saying to me then, that the whole operational model, that Tipperary Cllr division model, that doesn't work as far as you're concerned?
Fran, I posed that to him at the time. Unfortunately, my colleagues went out and we lost our chief super who was based in Tullis. Gary Smith was the last one. We should pick up the phone and ring him. Then we were told we're amalgamating from a Henny Bridge up to Portumna. It's just madness. And we knew what was going to happen. We have a chief super. I did ask the superintendent last week. Now, maybe funnily or whatever, would he put out the Michigan Personals as they do for the chief superintendent? I haven't seen her since he got the job. I met her once in Tullis, so now she's going to meet us in Tipperary town, I think next week, some days. But we don't see the superintendent based in Tullis. But it was sleight of hand pulled in, and of course my colleagues at the time, 2 years ago now, whatever it was, welcomed it up, delighted. They gave us a chief superintendent for Tullis, but that chief superintendent is not attached to Tipperary at all. He's based there. He's a regional basis. So when I had an issue there in January, it took me nearly until late March to get a meeting with the superintendent about a horrendous attack on a business premise, a horrendous crime, before I could ring the superintendent and meet him in an hour. And I can meet Superintendent Niall in an hour if I have to, but he doesn't deal with crime anymore. He's dealing with other issues. It's a different man looking after crime and different man after all the different lovely on paper, but a disaster. And I meet the members on the ground, and they tell me all the time. I mean, a number of members have been injured in Cllr administration, female members on their own minding prisoners. Superintendent's denying that to me, but I've been told by members themselves. So we had a very disappointing meeting, I suppose, really. But if you're trying to represent the public, honestly, and represent the guards, morale is an all-time low. Imagine just 7 guards and a sergeant to cover the whole of that South Tipperary. Tipperary, Gordon tells me that down 18 to 20 guards in the Tipperary town and district area. It's just not policing anymore. It's just, I mean, coming out in a guard car. And they're doing their best. And I want to support.
Well, they'll tell you that they're trying to get as many recruits as possible. There's obviously a delay in training the recruits, but it appears that the majority of the recruits are going to the cities, Mattie, and that seems to be getting first preference.
It's happening. Look, the big hurrah in Edinburgh, we got 4 new recruits there the last second, not this last week, but the one before that, for Clonmel. Remember recruits, and I support, and anyone goes into the guards, they're great, but if you get a recruit, you nearly want 2 of them to make up for one experienced guard, because they have to learn their works. One of those 4, sadly, is resigning the posts and for leaving the guards. So we got 4 into Clonmel, 4 recruits, that's down to 3 now. We lost 6 experienced guards on the same week. 2 went to Tipperary town, 2 went to Cllr Shore, and 2 have gone to Clare. And then Sergeant Cian O'Regan, who they paid tribute to him, was community sergeant for years, left. And I want to also support community policing with Fiona and Clonmel on her own. And we have Gardai Hennessy in Tip Town who are doing Trojan work. I know they're trying to beef up that unit again, but they just haven't the numbers. So we lost 7. And have got 3, and there are 3 new recruits, so have to be experienced. So we've been badly blackguarded in South Tipperary.
All right. Before I let you go, Mattie, can I just talk to you about Paschal Donohoe stepping down? What do you make of that, and what do you make about the reconfiguration then of?
Tough sudden, and he has been very experienced. He'll be lost obviously to the government. I had many issues with him. My first engagement was in 2016, really, when he was minister with government formation talks. But look, he had great experience, and he will be a loss. No doubt at government level. And then I spoke to the Taoiseach last night, himself, I met him personally, and I wish him well, but I think it's foolish to he taking on finance because he's tarnished, especially with the European Council coming up and he'll be heads of state and, everything else. So I warmly welcome Hildegard Nocton into education. I'm delighted that Mr. McEnany's gone out of there. Didn't agree with her views and many things she's trying to do, but I have a very good working relationship with Hildegard Nocton because I was group leader for 5 years. She was whipping and we worked very well together and still do and hope to. So look, it's quite sudden and shocking, and we lost
but I mean, you speak about your doubts there around Simon Harris taking on the portfolio of finance and the like, but I mean, you see, this is what happens, Mattie. Whenever you criticise a government, people can point to your support of a government then because you voted yes in the nomination of the members of government.
I did, of course, yeah. I voted that, and I voted yesterday for Hildegard Nocton as well because I have a good working relationship. I respect what she's going to do. I'm just saying that for a party leader...
But you can see why people get cross with you at times if you're critical of the government, and then at times you're voting for them and you appear to be supporting them.
Look, my record is clear. How many times I've voted with them and against them. I'm just, in actual fact, the Congress said to me last night, welcome back to the fold. He said to me last night. So I said, I'm not in any fold. You know what I mean? I vote on every issue as they come up. I present the people. I'm bringing the issues about Clonmel. I'm bringing the issues about, and if you may have time to discuss the CDNT, please, I beg you, if you have a minute or two.
Yeah.
The way we're being neglected.
But just tell me, I mean, like you're particularly critical of Minister McEntee, for example. Now, she's taking on a very, very important portfolio, which is foreign affairs and defence. And you voted that this was okay, even though you're critical of her.
I'm very critical. I'm delighted she's out of education. I was very critical on justice because she, like the morale is so low.
But foreign affairs is a very serious portfolio.
Certainly, but at least it's not policy and the whole situation with the woke carry on in government the last 10 years, and she was driving that in education as well. I'm delighted to see that she's not doing that anymore.
Right, well, she could well bring a certain ideology to foreign affairs and to defence as well, surely.
But she'll be out of the country so much, you know what I mean? Now, look, it's different. Education is so vital. I have 13 grandchildren, and other people have children, only mine. I'm just saying they need a proper safe, and to be spared from all this, stuff that's going on and has taken over here, driven by NGOs, which is milked in the country, and I deal with every issue as they come up. But first of all, my duty is to represent the constituents who elect me.
You wanted to have a word on the Children's Disability Network team. That's what you're referring to there. It's a crisis, is it not?
Well, it's beyond the crisis. Over 60% of the posts within the CDNT team are vacant. By the end of this year, 72% of the posts in Clonmel will be vacant. Imagine 3/4 of the posts dealing with the very children I was talking about a minute ago. Some children might have only small little concerns, and they could be easily corrected if they get support and intervention, or if they're very more serious and profound. Look at that. Cashel is a 35% vacancy rate. What is wrong? Like, there's no managers position vacant in the HSC. Look at that. If I was to check, and they can appoint, when they appoint a manager, they can appoint 1, 2, 3 in a panel. But why can't they appoint panels here, like of the tolerance?
I don't know, because I was speaking to Cllr Darmody about this, as you know, and I was speaking to Mark Darmody about it, and they gave them options to think outside the box where recruitment are concerned, but they didn't embrace this in any way,
Look, Martin and Marianne set up the HSC to put a buffer between the public representatives and the public, and accountability. And this is it. Imagine, just think about it, 75% of the very vital, important positions in Clonmel will be vacant come 6 weeks' time, and 35% in Cashel. That's 100% between the two areas. I mean, that is just appalling that can be allowed to go on. Cllr Darmody and Mark Darmody are bringing this to the fore and whatnot. He did say last week, because I issued a press release, and they got information the day before from Minister Foley. But sure, I only issue the figures, the facts that I get from departments, so they don't know what's going on. But these are official figures. 3/4 of the very important posts are missing and not even advertising for them.
All right.
That's a shocking indictment with the number of Gardai and missing, and so many other levels that were stretched. And Mark Fuckles called in, and I bumped into James Murray yesterday in the council after the meeting with the TII. And one staff figure he gave me that take the Clonmel Inner Relief Road, the bypass, which is car park now during the day, certain times, to maintain that for 2020 6. They have a figure of, I'm not sure it's 15 or 17,000, one or the other, but whatever, it's insignificant. Putting a line at property and putting in cat's eyes and everything else with the volume of heavy HGV and the whole that. So look, we're not getting the funding. We can make announcements about funding, but that's the reality of it. They have no maintenance money for these roads, and the director.
Right, but I could say to you, Mattie, I mean, you're supporting the government to some element. I mean, have you not influence over that, Mattie?
Yes, I meet all the time, and I meet Darrell O'Brien. I did meet him last week. I'm very concerned about the N24 and the project and the National Development Plan coming out next week. Of course, I'll do my best, but if I want to go in and shout and be negative all the time, I definitely get nothing. So it's a fine.
We're not getting anything. We're not getting anything, though.
We're not getting anything. We should be getting, yeah, but people know about the Clonmel. It's well known by the council, and by Council Murphy for years, how bad things were in Clonmel, how no numbers in the gas. We're going to a new gas station now. We don't know when to go into it. It's practical. I mean, that is grand.
Mattie, I must leave it there. I must leave it there, Mattie. But thanks for your time today. Thank you. Gormila Mahagat, Mattie. Thank you indeed. That's Deputy Mattie McGrath speaking to us there. My old friend Tom Fionnan. Tom, of course, former representative of the GRA in Tipperary. He's on to say you were put on notice, Fran, in 2019 about Tipp joining Cllr. No chief in Tipp, no interest in rural policing, and that's very stark from a man who has a lot of experience of being in the Gardai for sure. We'll take a break. Back in just a moment.
Tipp FM's Tipp Today.
With Slattery's Garage Puckon. Now is the time to pick up your next van. From the award-winning Peugeot Partner van to the Expert and the load-lugging Boxer van. We have big vans, high-roof vans, long wheelbase vans. You'll find them all at Slattery's Garage Puckon. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Tipp FM's Tipp Today.
With Slattery's Garage Puckon. It's time to change. Test drive the award-winning range of Peugeot hybrids and fully electric vehicles at Slattery's Garage today. See slatterysgarage.ie.
Now, following a conversation with our orthopaedic surgeon, Stuart Edwards, last week, a listener advised the use of Udder mint. Now, I had to look it up. But anyway, I met an old friend, Joe Hayes of Clean Line Farm Services, along with his wife Helen, in the Anacarty tea rooms where it all happens on a Saturday morning. And I found out an awful lot more about Udder mint and other products as well. And Joe joins me now. Good morning to you, Joe.
Morning, Sven.
Great. I was delighted, Joe, that I gave you all such a laugh with my lack of knowledge about Udder mint. What exactly is Udder mint, Joe?
Well, I just put you in the picture first, friend,
yeah.
before we can. What I've learned since I spoke to you last Saturday was that you have a contributor to your programme for a number of years who was using this Udder mint on a regular basis, I'm told.
Go on.
Yeah, I had a customer in the shop the other day, and he was getting a few tubes of Udder mint for a particular man, and he said to me, this fella is using it quite a while, and I said, what's he using it? I said, it's on the dogs. This is the man from Hackney Road.
This would be Mr. Luby, would it indeed?
So I'm told. Now, I'm only going to what it was.
Do you know,
told,
Joe? Right? I should have known.
Yeah. I said to him, what is he doing with it? Is he using it on the dogs? No, he said he's using it on himself. And I said, what do you mean? Well, he said he rubs it on his jaws every morning about 9 o'clock he goes talking to friends, so as he won't get lockjaw.
Well, that explains a lot, Joe. I can tell you. What exactly is Udder mint, Joe?
I'll give it a brief background to it. It was developed by it's Tyson Udder mint, right? And the Tyson is the name of the man that developed it. It's Peter Tyson. Peter Tyson was selling a product back in the 80s for mastitis in cows. It was a very strong liniment cream, a liniment liquid, right?
Yes.
It was sprayed onto the quarter of the cow when she'd have mastitis. But he felt that it would work better if it was in a form of a cream. So the company he was with, he said it to him a number of times, but they didn't pursue it. But he felt it was something that he wanted to do himself. So he got a cream made up with this very strong liniment put into it, and he gave it to farmers. And they were more than surprised with the results they were getting with it. So he took the step and he developed his own company, and he got the cream made up on contract basis with this very strong liniment put into it. But he made a cream to a very, very high standard, friend, in that it's the same standard as you would use on a face cream or a hand cream. And the reason for that was that it would actually soak into the muscle and stimulate blood flow. That's the principle behind it.
Wow.
Right?
But
So
it's pain relief, Joe, is it?
Well, it has developed into pain relief.
Oh,
yeah.
right, okay.
At the side, on the cow side, the reason it was developed was for a hard quarter and mastitis in the cow. And it would take the swelling down and take the soreness out of the quarter for the cow, right?
Yes.
Okay? So then farmers started using it maybe on their own elbows or their shoulders or their back or whatever. And the word spread that there was, they were getting great relief when they'd use a bit of this stuff on their shoulder or on their hip or whatever the case may be, right?
Yes.
Because of the way, again, it soaks into the skin and it stimulates the blood flow. And that's because it's such a high-grade product. That's why it works so well. There's many different copies of it there, but this is the original of the species, I'll say,
And are you finding people like who nothing to do with farms now at this point that they're going in to buy this?
Oh, totally. I mean, I'm gobsmacked, and especially for the last, I suppose, 5 years or so, it has really taken off. I don't know why. I was lucky enough to get I distribute Odorment in the 26 counties, and I have done for nearly 30 years. It was mainly through, we say, co-ops and merchants and that type of thing. But in recent years, the amount of chemists and pharmacies that are selling these products, and it's to GAA clubs, the rugby club.
No way. Are you serious? Wow.
Across the board. Yeah.
Yeah. Is it similar to what's that stuff called, wintergreen or something? Has it?
Yeah, it's similar. Yeah, that type of idea, or DPs and that type of thing. But it's just the type of liniment that Peter Tyson uses is a very, very high grade mint liquid that's put into the cream. And then the cream itself is a very, very high quality cream. And between the two things, they blend into the muscle very well to give that pain relief.
Incredible. And it's no harm for humans to use it then, Joe? No.
No harm for, and even interesting you should say that. Back in the mid-90s or thereabouts, there was a concern that, would it be showing up in milk or so forth. And we actually got it tested in Moore Park in the mid-1990s. And it's the only cream of its type on the market that has been tested in Moore Park, and it was shown that it had no effect on milk. It will not taint milk, and it's of no harm to anybody to use it on their
interesting, and they're scientific.
Yeah.
Did you tell me on Saturday morning? Did you have to ring RTE at one point though?
I did. This is a long time ago now, friend.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it when I was told that. So I forget who the person was. It was one of these influencers at the time, or somebody in the makeup business or whatever. They were using this product, and they made a comment that it was very beneficial for the bags under the eyes.
Under the eyes. Yeah.
And I could not believe that this, because it's good product to do what it can do, but it should not be put near your eyes at all, because if it gets into your eyes, it'll burn your eyes. It's a very, very with a very strong vapour off it and so forth. And I had to ring RTE and tell them to retract it and tell people not to use it near their eyes. And if I could say, if people are using it, Fran, and rubbing it into their shoulder or their elbow, make sure to wash your hands after using it. And, we all have a tendency to rub our eye with our finger.
Sure, yeah.
And you must be very careful not to do that. That is
Joe, are there other products that was designed for animals that have made its way into the sort of the beauty bags of human beings, or the bathrooms of human beings? Are there other products?
There probably are different things out there, and there would be some there, and even again, Peter Tyson developed another product there, a specific hand. Well, it was a cream for sores on cows' teeth. That's what he developed, right?
Yeah.
But that again has developed into he calls it a farm and family skin cream, right? And it's a fantastic product for cuts and wounds and that type of thing.
What is that? Your phone just dropped a little bit when you said it. What is that called, Joe?
It's called a farm and family hand cream, skin cream. Just farm and family skin cream. Yeah, just comes in a small tube. But again, it's very good on cuts and wounds and that. Or again, I would see farmers using it that their hands might get very sore from the hard weather and dealing with water and that, the skin can get cracked on your hands, and they'd use this product to create a barrier on the hands and to keep the skin from cracking. Like,
isn't that interesting? And your own business, Joe, Clean Line Farm Services, have you developed products over the years or nurtured products over the years?
If I go back to 2011, Fred, I was trying to find. I sell a lot of dairy hygiene products, right? And in the dairy hygiene range, farmers use disinfectants on cows' teeth after milking them to kill bacteria, right? And they're all chemical based. And in 2011, I was kind of trying to find something that was not chemical based that could be used as a disinfectant. And I had a colleague of mine who was travelling all over the world, a very good nutritionist. I had him on the lookout for things, different countries that he'd go to, and he did come back with different leaflets belonging to products. But when I really looked at them closely, they weren't what I was after.
Yes.
And he put me in contact in 2015 with a couple of boys up in UCD Nova at the time. They were a startup company, and they were manufacturing more feed-related products for pigs and poultry and fish and that, right? But he said to me, they're very good. He said, you should go up and speak to them. So I had a meeting with them anyway, and they did develop a teeth spray product for me that was proven by science to kill all the mastitis organisms and that, right?
Oh.
And I had a small number of my own customers using it. But to get that product over the line, Fran, on a legal basis, that it passed all the testing and get all the grades and the figures that you need to get to be put on the market and all the registrations, to get all that over the line, I'd have to say, Fran, it took forever. Absolutely. But anyway, in May 2024, we got the final letter from the department that we could sell the product, and we got everything was right, and we got the go ahead to sell it on the open market. And I had a deal with a manufacturing company in Cork called BioCell. They took on the product, and in October 24, there's a dairy show that goes ahead in Mill Street every year. A pretty big dairy show, and they have a science innovation section at that show. And BioCell and myself, we decided we'd take the Mill Street and enter into the show and enter the science innovation section. And we were lucky enough to win the award that year with that product, right?
Yeah.
And it has been a huge help to the marketing of the product since, I'd have to say, But while I was doing that with those people, I also asked them to develop another product for calves, right? And this calf product is very, very unique. This is all based now, Fran. Sorry, I'm rambling a little bit, but this is all based on polyphenols. What polyphenols are, it's a mixture of fruit and vegetable extract.
Right, yes.
And these guys have a very, very unique way of mixing this, and the science behind it is very, very unique in what they're doing. But they have developed a calf product for me that it's a game changer completely for rearing calves for any farmer that's out there.
Isn't that fantastic altogether?
Yeah.
You see,
the difference with these fellas are that they have huge science behind what they're doing. They're a very, very good company. I'd have to say, if I could, Fred, as a company, the two Irish guys, the knowledge and the work they're doing is absolutely phenomenal. And they're exporting huge volumes of product around the world for fish, for poultry, for pigs, for pets. It's going to Australia, to Asia, to Europe, to America.
Isn't it great to know? And this is all going on, and most of us wouldn't know about this, Joe. Yeah, it's incredible.
No, it's all going on very quietly.
Joe, I must leave it there, but thank you so much, and great to see you in the tea rooms where it all happens on a Saturday morning.
You can check out what Tony Cooney said to me about Johnny Luby and see whether it's true or not. I don't know if you could believe it all,
You can never believe, Joe, you can never believe it. You can never. Look after yourself, Joe, and my best to Helen. Thanks very much indeed. Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Bye-bye, Janelle. That's Joe Hayes there. Clean Line Farm Services of Bryan Street there in Tipperary town, of course. But anyway, that's the story of Udder Mint.
Tipp FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, puck on. It's time to change. Test drive the award-winning range of Peugeot hybrids and fully electric vehicles at Slattery's Garage today. See slatterysgarage.ie.
If it matters to you, it matters to us. Call Tipp today on 1-800-938-007.
Well, it seems like lots of our listeners have been using Udder Mint for years and years and years. But my friend Liam on to say, Fran, we've been using Udder cream for years, not just on the cows, but on cold knees, elbows, and other areas. Says Liam. Must get you a juice, Liam. And then Leanne got back, because so many people making inquiries now, Leanne got back to Joe Hayes to find out where it's available, and seemingly it can be bought in most of the co-ops right across the county. Well, there you go. This coming Friday, November 21st, the North Tipperary Artists Collective are launching their Christmas pop-up gift shop in Quentin's Way in Nina, and I'm glad to be joined now by artist Jacinta Glasgow. Good morning to you, Jacinta.
Good morning, Fran. How are you?
I'm well, and lovely to talk to you again, Jacinta. What can people expect on Friday?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for allowing me the opportunity to update you and your listeners on the fantastic opportunity that we have for Nina and surrounding areas. So it's North Tipperary Artists Collective. We're an eclectic group of creatives based locally in North Tipperary, and there's over 40 members exhibiting their creative talents in the gift shop for the Christmas season.
And it's in Quentin's Way. Is it open air, Jacinta?
No, it's in the old Aniva shop, so we're very grateful to the Aniva owners for the use of their shop. We had one there last year as well, and it was well received in Nina, and we're going to open again this Friday, the 21st of November.
And the kind of artworks that will be on show and on sale?
So we have original paintings from small A5, A6 sizes, right up to large A3, 60 centimetres paintings. We have photographs of local areas. We have limited edition prints. We have decorative tables. We have cards and candles, floral wreaths and calendars, and much, much more. It's quite a selection of gifts, and all uniquely made by local artists from the North Tipperary Artists Collective.
It's a lovely, if you're looking for something different for a loved one for Christmas, this is an ideal opportunity, isn't it?
It absolutely is, Fran, because not only will you get access to wonderfully created, beautiful gifts, but you'll also get a chance to meet some of the artists as well when you pop into the shop, because each of us artists that are contributing to the shop will be on site to meet local people as they come in to discuss the work and to answer questions and to take commissions. If people wanted to order a specific thing to be done, we can do that as well.
Oh, that's lovely. Is somebody doing Christmas cards as well, bespoke Christmas cards?
Yes, there is quite a few Christmas cards. I actually have my own Christmas robins, which will be on show, and there's quite a few robins in the collection. And there's little mini paintings which are made into cards as well. And it's just quite a selection of creative talent, really, that we have on show.
It's lovely. So you're open on this coming Friday, and is it the following Saturday? Then you're back there. Is that the way it works?
Yeah. So we're open this weekend, Friday and Saturday, to just give people a taster.
Yes.
And then we'll be open again the following weekend, the Friday and Saturday, the 28th and the 29th of November. And then once the 1st of December comes, we'll be opening Monday to Saturday, and our hours of business are 10 until 6 every day. And, just coming up to the Christmas, then the last 2 Sundays, we'll also open for a few hours as well, just for last-minute shoppers to get that special gift.
It's a lovely idea, Jacinta, that you would get artists together in this fashion, because it's much easier, I suppose, for you all to share a space.
Absolutely, Fran. It's a real team effort, from the people who are curating the shop to people doing the window display and dressing, the setup, the social media promotion, and all that goes with a shop. Of course, we'll only be open for a few short weeks, so we still have to do a lot of work to get up and running. But the artists dropped off their selections yesterday, so the girls are busy in the shop setting everything up for Friday.
It's great, yeah. And do you get together at other times of year, or is it just specifically for Christmas?
We do. We meet once a month in the Arts Centre. There's a coffee morning facilitated through the Arts Centre in Nina. to connect with other artists and to plan what our next project will be. And we've had a lot of successful projects over this year. We had a very successful mural project in St. Joseph's Park Playground. We had the Art Centre Aged exhibition in Nina. We had the Thomas McDonagh Head School Collaborative in Cllr Jordan, and we have an exhibition ongoing in Moneygall in Rita's Kitchen, the community cafe there. So it's a very active group, and we're all very passionate about what we do and about sharing our creativity with the local community.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely great, and it's a great opportunity these weeks then for people to pick up, as I say, very special gifts and the like. And what about your own work, Jacinta? What have you got from yourself available?
So I work in acrylics and watercolours. So I have acrylic paintings and I have watercolour paintings on show, and I also have little cards as well for the Christmas.
That's lovely. Well, I'm looking forward to dropping by and having a look tomorrow on Friday, because we're in Nina on Friday as well, Jacinta. Look after yourself. Have a great time, and I hope it's very successful for you all, Jacinta. Great to talk to you as always.
Can I just mention, Fran, that we will have the Nina College students, traditional band students, coming to play music for us on Friday from 2 to 3 or so. Adam Kearns, Mia Demick, Natalia Galuska and Keely Johnston. And one of the teachers, Leonie Byrne, as well, will be joining them, just to create a bit of atmosphere. And, of course, thank you, Fran, for the opportunity to promote, and thanks to the Nina Guardian for also promoting our shop, and for all the support they give us over the year, and the local community for coming along and joining us. And if people want to know more, they can catch us on the North Tipperary Artists, are on Instagram and Facebook, and we also have a website, the NorthTipperaryArtists.com.
Oh, right. Well done you, Jacinta, and you're always welcome here, and thank you for coming on with us this morning. Thank you.
More than welcome, Fran. Delighted to talk to you, and thank you again to you and your team.
Good morning to you. That's Jacinta Glasgow speaking to us there about that pop-up gift shop that's happening this Friday and Saturday and the following week, and indeed the following week after that as well, and we wish them well. And in fact, just to remind you again, we are in Nina ourselves on Pearse Street in Nina in our studio there on this coming Friday. That's it for me. Leanne produced, Ali looks after content, Stephen has the time tunnel on the lunchtime show. I will talk to you tomorrow. Look after yourselves. Bye-bye.
Tip FM's Tip Today.
With Slattery's Garage, Puckon. Main Peugeot dealers in the Premier County. And now stocking the full range of the luxury French car brand DS Automobiles. Book your test drive today with Slattery's Garage, Puckon. See slatterysgarage.ie.